And it's been 2 weeks, and we're back with another episode of Me, You, and Jeju, the #1 English language podcast about Jeju Island. I assume, because
you don't even know if that's true. You're just throwing it out there.
Do you know of any other Jeju Island English language podcast?
I don't know.
That's right. We are the #1. We are the #1 now.
Here we go. We're claiming it. True or not, we're claiming it.
How you doing?
Not bad. And you?
Yeah, I'm doing. We'll get to that.
Yeah. So we got some attention on Twitter, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we did.
Based on our last little thing. That was cool.
Yeah, it's not every day that the U.S. Navy likes our YouTube content, our YouTube content. Yeah, so
really cool.
We're gonna get more into that a little bit later today. But I thought I'd start off with a somber topic about Jeju Beer. Have you heard about the new rumblings of what's going on with Jeju Beer?
When you say somber, all I picture is our stocks going down even further. I don't even know if that's possible, that they could go down further. So, all right, hit me with the bad news.
No, we're gonna start off with the good news first, which is that Jeju Beer is being exported to Europe. Isn't that weird? Jeju Beer
That's cool.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Jeju Beer announced this month that they're exporting 3 of their beers. The famous, the first one, the wheat beer, the Pelong Ale, and the Jamong Ale, which is the new dark beer. They're being exported to thousands of bars, restaurants, and stores in Britain, Germany, and France.
Germany, huh? I wonder. I would love to. Well, anyways, I really wonder how Jeju Beer will go over there.
I'm wondering that. Imagine going to a bar, you're in Germany, and seeing a can of Jeju Ale right there on the shelf.
One thing is, I think Jeju Ale does a really dynamic job with their can art.
Branding, yeah.
Brands, thank you for that word. That wasn't coming to my head. And I think they, I haven't been to Europe for a while, but I feel like mostly it's simple. But I think Jeju is pretty eye-catching. So maybe, but then tasting it. Oh, anyways, it would be interesting to hear. So wait. Then our stocks should be through the roof.
We'll get to that because did you know that?
Tell me.
Did you know that that the beer is already available in India, Thailand, Singapore, and China? I didn't know that. It's already available. Jeju Beer since 2019 has been available in those countries, right?
They're not messing around over here.
No. But I mean, they're the #1 beer, craft beer in Korea. Right, they've done fantastic over I just imagine going.
I had no idea. Imagine being in Thailand and being okay.
Well, beer's beer, right? It's good. You like trying different things.
You just lost a lot of listeners when you just said beer is beer.
No, I mean beer is beer. I will drink it even if it's bad. Is kind of what I mean, right? If you have no choice, they have Terra beer here, and it's it's better than water, right? But that brings us to our stocks. I got off the phone with our banker, and
and
so the last time we talked, how many stocks did we have? Do you remember?
31.
Oh no,
32.
That's what we started off with. Started off with 30.
Okay.
Last time we talked, our banker had bought
us some more.
160.
She bought it. So now our total is 160 or 190?
It was 160. Now.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. We might need to get a new banker. We have 760 stocks of Jeju Beer.
What? How do you lose? I mean, I don't know things, but I didn't know you could lose stocks. I just thought you lost money on the stock.
No, we didn't lose the stocks. We had 160. Since then, we have 760 stocks.
Oh, I thought you said 76.
No, 700.
How do we have 700? What is our banker doing?
I don't know. I don't know. So
she's trying to make us retire in a couple years,
or in the poorhouse, because we We're going to be like members of the board at this rate at how many stocks. I think that's how stocks work, right?
Yeah, I think so. I would love, do you think it's possible to get a breakdown on how many people own shares?
I guess so.
Yeah, okay.
So we have a lot of stocks now.
We have a lot of stocks. So do we have any do we have any money?
We have lost.
Oh my God. Oh no.
457,000 won. 400, and so that's equivalent to $450. I think we need a new banker.
I think we need a new banker. I'm not sure exactly how we have more stocks and we lost that much more money. Like,
the banker explained to me that our portfolio is based on when the stocks goes down, it means they're cheaper. So she purchases more. When they are cheaper, hoping that when it goes up again,
one day we'll get some money back.
Yeah, it's a long game.
Yeah, because we're not taking. Yeah, it's a long game. Okay.
It's a long game. Like we're not going to. But man, that's a lot of money lost. The stock is at 300, and partially the reason why the loss is so much is because we now have so many stocks.
Well, here's the thing: is what I have learned, and again, I'm not like this person, but we should not think about it as something we've lost. We haven't lost that money because it's just out there in the universe.
Right. We haven't lost any money because we haven't taken it out yet.
Because we haven't taken the money. Yeah. So we just need to say our stock is down right now.
So Jeju Beer is the #1 craft beer in Korea. It is now exporting to France, Germany, and Britain, but yet I don't understand. We need to get somebody on here to explain to us like what's going on here.
We should. Okay, that'd be a good. Let me put my thinking cap on later. We can we'll maybe get someone on to talk about stocks.
I wonder
not all, but Jeju.
I wonder how many stocks we need to buy before we can get somebody from Jeju Beer on the company to explain to us what they're doing.
I bet we could do that. I bet I could find someone. And you know what else would be fun is if we upped our portfolio and we invested in another Jeju company. I don't know what. I'll think maybe oranges.
Like as a commodity? I bet you. Yeah, tangerines might be on the index.
I think we need to like throw some more. Just throw some more of your money over there.
Yeah, I think we need to also learn about these things.
Probably. This is why we need. Okay, so for anyone listening, if you know anything and you think you'd be a good guest, or if you could get us a hookup with Jeju Beer people, give us a shout.
If you think you know more about stocks than us, which is probably most likely.
Everybody listening right now is like, these two should not own stocks. All right. Well, let's move on. Please.
Yeah. Now it's we're thinking of Jeju Beer. Now it's time for Jeju Dialect. Let's go to that with Ju Young Han, brought to you by GS25 and Junior Moon. Man, I can't speak today.
I know, both of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Juju will take over for us.
And we're back with another corner of Jeju Dialect with our Sansangnim Ju Young Han. Thank you so much for being with us for this stupendously popular program, Corner Jeju Dialect. How are you doing?
Good. It's been really hectic, but it's okay. I'm handling it.
Are you still getting a lot of attention for Save Jeju Bada? Is there still a lot of interviews?
Yes. I've been asked a lot of interviews and stuff like that. So
it's hard to plan that, right? And do snaps.
That's really exciting and pretty impressive how you've done that, by the way.
Thank you.
Kudos to you. I think about I love looking at your Instagram page because it shows how much one person can do if they want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So, that's the message I want to send out, that you can do it too, things like that.
So. Yeah, that's a good point. And everyone should look at Save Jeju Bada's website for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and everyone can also learn to speak Jeju dialect. I'm the segue king.
Fantastic. What do you got for us this week?
Oh, so the expression I have for you guys today is something you can use at a school cafeteria maybe. If the menu is something you like and you want to have it in a large portion, you can say 하영 줍서.
하영 줍서.
Yes.
하영 줍서. 하영 줍서.
Great. And if, the menu is something you don't like and you don't you have it, you want to have it just a little bit, you can say 호끔만 줍서.
Go ahead, Darryl.
I was waiting on you. For you.
호끔만
줍서.
Yes.
So Jeju, with this, do you already have to be in possession of the food, or is it being served to you?
It's
like the next order of it, or what?
Well, I think you have to be being served the food.
Okay.
You know, like when you can choose whether you wanna have it a lot or small portion of it.
Okay.
Like a buffet. If somebody is serving food for you, you can ask for food like give me little or give me a lot of it. You know, things like that.
So like an example would be like manul haenyeo jupsa.
Oh yes, and also you can ask for food. You know, like at a restaurant. You know, like 마늘 or 깻잎 or 상추.
Right.
You know, the lettuce. You know, give me a lot of lettuce. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
I'm definitely going to use that. Like at a gogi restaurant, like when you want, because I love doenjang, like doenjang, samjang, that kind of stuff. So like samjang, haenyeo jupsa. You know, my wife is, you know, our former teacher, Sanjung Myeonjong, is completely embarrassed by me now because of our lesson.
You're like showing her up at the restaurants?
Because I say it all the time. I say these words all the time, right? And she's just like, and sometimes I don't say it correctly or I'm a little bit off, and it tends to get attention, right? And she's just like, God damn it, Darryl. You have to tell everybody all the time, Nangshim Hapsa and like Jiggy Hapsa. And
that's awesome.
That's nice, though. Yeah.
I like the option of at the barbecue restaurant being able to specifically show off and specifically order, you know, because sometimes it's just they'll give you all the service dishes, like too much. I don't want all that. I just want like all the good stuff, you know? So, yeah, that's good. You know what I decided, you guys, and maybe our listeners could? So I decided that I'm going to be copying our lessons into a note on my phone, so that I'm completely prepared to pull it up and sit out in certain circumstances.
Oh, nice. That's,
you know, it's almost, that sounds a lot like, you know, if someone took the time to put it into a post that they easily and painstakingly put on Instagram that can be easily reviewed.
Absolutely, but when yes, everybody should look at her Instagram. Okay, we're moving on from this. Jeju, can you do that one more time for us, please? Both of them.
Okay. 하영 줍서.
하영 줍서.
Yes, sorry. 호끔만 줍서.
Good.
Okay, good. Good. I was worried about cutting people off and jumping on their toes then. Those are great ones. Those are really, I think those are ones that are going to be harder for me to remember because it's completely Jeju dialect, right? There's nothing in that I recognize except for maybe Jupsa is the Jew is like Juseo. Is that the same?
Yeah.
Okay. But everything else, haenyeo Jupsa is Jeju dialect. Hogum man Jupsa, all Jeju dialect too.
Yes.
Hogum.
Correct.
So hogum means like chogum.
It's hokum.
Hokum.
Yes. Hokum is chogum. Yes.
Chogum.
Like a little bit.
Like a little bit. Okay. Oh, well, that relates in my head. Okay.
And haenyeo would be then mani?
Yes. Mani.
Perfect. Okay. That's great.
Jeju, have you been using the Jeju dialect in your private life?
Oh yeah, I use it all the time.
You do?
Actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because some of these words are new even for you, right? Some of the words you've been teaching us, you're kind of double checking or
No, not really.
Okay.
That's, like everything I've taught you like so far is something I use on a daily, basis. So.
What about writing it down though? Is that confusing to you? Because I know when I
think it's really confusing sometimes because some people say this and other people say a little bit differently, and because it's like dialect, I don't think it's a correct way, like
an exact way.
Spell it out. So
as long as
Yeah.
As long as it gets the job done verbally, though.
Yeah, because I've had like comments about the way I've spelled some of them, like the previous ones before, and they're like, "Oh, that's not the way you spell it," and I just go, "Okay."
Yeah, it's different. It's different. Like it can be pronounced differently in like according to based on like the towns, I guess.
Oh, of course.
West side of Jeju or east side of Jeju, So like sometimes my parents, my dad pronounce differently than my mom. So
I love it.
But they understand each other, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. That's a great. Those are great words. I will comment on how many times I embarrass my wife the next time we talk. I over under at least 5 times is what I'm betting. At least 5 times.
This is going to be my one that I really start to get over my shyness. This is going to be the lesson that I'm going to really try to use. I promise. Scout's honor.
I think you can use this sentence whenever you go to a restaurant, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the next time you're at GS25, you can go to the cashier in Jumu and ask Ayong Chupsa for more mekju.
Oh, that's good, one. That's good one.
Good segue, Darryl. Good job, buddy.
So, like I said, this has been another corner of Jeju Dialect, brought to you by GS25 in Jigmoon. When in Jigmoon, GS25. Peace.
So that was fun. Like I said, when we were, I think that's going to be my first. I know this is shameful, is that I'm too self-conscious about my Korean accents, my Korean, like I have not really tried these out, but I truly, truly believe these are 2 that I could make use of because number 1, I eat at a lot of Korean restaurants and old school barbecue and like old school soup shops.
Yeah.
And I really think I could make like that could be something easy. It's an easy transition. And second, because I don't want, like I said in the lesson, I don't always want like all the million trillion sides that you thankfully get at a Korean restaurant.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be nice to be able to specifically be like, just more of this one, please. Yeah.
What a waste. I always worry about that at these restaurants, right?
Yeah. I know. And I'm kind of picky about my kimchi. Like I'm pretty picky about my kimchi. Like there's the winter and then there's the summer. Yeah. And I have this thing, I really don't like my kimchi to be too fishy. And the winter one, they use the shrimp, and I'm just not a fan of that one.
When you go to like a Jeju like pork restaurant, do you like the Jeju sauce that they have sometimes at some of them? Like it's this they put it in the middle. It's like in a metal cup. They put it in the middle.
No,
of
that's
the
a big
pan.
no for me. That's
really?
It's pure fish.
It's all like anchovies.
It's like you're dipping your delicious, juicy pork into a mashed up fish. That's a no. And no.
I love that. Can I tell you a secret though?
Oh God! And you go home with your wife after that, putting that in your mouth? That's a no.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah, I'm a little scared though.
I hate gochujang. Hate it. We're gonna lose.
Really?
We're gonna lose.
I was just like, yeah, we're already. Well, okay, but that's okay.
That's okay? Because it's like, I feel bad saying that because everyone looks at me like, oh, what do you mean you hate it? You don't like it. I do not like it.
I also don't like it, but it's the first time I ever had it. I was on a fishing boat and I was eating live squid. And, they were like, oh, put it in there. And I had this bad experience where it got stuck in my throat and I thought I was going to die. And then that sort of became this association. So I don't like it either.
That's different.
Well, I don't like the taste either. I think it's a weird taste.
I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like bibimbap because of it. And yeah.
Oh, we just lost. Yeah. Okay.
We've lost everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
So, this brings us to like the main topic is,
Fish brings us to the main topic of the haenyeo.
All
right.
Well, we talk about
another good segue.
A lot, right?
We do because it's important. Yeah,
it is important, but also because I'm doing research about it and I've been inundated with it all the time. Because hopefully my article will come out, which is about the U.S. military looking into the genetics of haenyeo to solve issues of hypothermia. Right?
Fascinating.
It's really cool. We'll get to that. But doing the research about the haenyeo, I've come across the fact that like almost every day there's an article in the news about haenyeo. Every day there's something. There's something.
Like here in Korea?
In Jeju newspapers. In Jeju newspapers.
Oh, well,
right.
I mean, it's just, okay, that makes more sense. I was like, really? But okay. So is there like something special that just happened?
Well, like today, I mean, it was, I just saw right beforehand, somebody drove a car off of, on Udo. They drove their car, a tourist drove a car off of Udo into like where the area where haenyeo like harvest. Ridiculous. It made me, it's Udo.
Oh, do you know that, and I don't want to name names, but you and I are oldies but goodies. And do you not remember the Udo, the incident with the foreigner?
Oh yeah, now I do.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? So as soon as you said that, I was like, what? That's crazy. Because that was some years ago, but you remember that foreigner that we know that drove into the ocean?
Yeah. Now I don't.
That Udo, that's an infamous. There's a whole legend around that. Anyways, let's not talk about that. But did it do like damage to or was the article like in depth?
It was very short. It had just happened today.
So it was just like, I don't think it right in.
Two people in the car. People got out. The car is still there in the water. Who knows the damage it did to the reef?
That's what I was wondering. We don't know the extent of. Yeah. Okay.
But something cool that I learned about was that like 2 days ago, Jeju City announced it for the second half of this year that it had accepted 32 haenyeo applications for retirement.
Oh.
So retirement allowance.
I got excited.
Right. So it sounds a little confusing.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Okay. It's not what I thought it was. No. So say that one more time, Darryl.
They have accepted for this year, second half of 2021, 32 applications from haenyeos for retirement allowances. So what this is
like
a program. Exactly. It's a program that started in 2019 to encourage haenyeo above the age of 80 to retire in order to prevent accidents at sea. Right?
Seems reasonable. Like nobody should be working unless they want. Well, okay. Yeah. Okay.
No, because it's not just like
subject. I'm like, oh yeah.
It's not a job you're sitting down for. It's quite.
No, it's
dangerous, right?
If so they make not to be crude, but if a haenyeo makes it to 80, that's pretty. Yeah. And I don't mean that in any tongue-in-cheek sort of way. I mean seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, so this year alone they accepted 32 new applicants.
The second half of this year, so that means that's 32 haenyeos who will retire, and they will be given some sort of money. I couldn't figure out what it was, but according to an old article I found from when the program started, they get they were dispensing about 300,000 won a month for 3 years after retirement, which is not a lot of money. But
I guess I assume most haenyeo own their own home at this point and stuff. So 300.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they probably have the savings. They're frugal. Generally,
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I've just based on the elderly Korean women, Jeju women I've met, most of them are.
So Darryl, in my opinion, everybody deserves a retirement fund, like if they're saving it themselves or the government, but who is paying this fund? Are we as taxpayers paying into this, or is it government is just pulling, do you know?
I'm pretty sure it's just like from our tax-paying money, right? Like
gladly give it. I'll gladly give it.
Yeah, but this is on top of so I said this was for the second half of the year. There was 33 applicants and only 32 got accepted. I want to know why. Like
the one didn't get accepted.
No, you can't retire.
Maybe she withdrew her application, but now I'm super curious, like why they're like, not you yet.
Not you, because in the first half of the year, I think the number was about 180 that were accepted for this program, right? So
at the first half, and now we're adding and tacking another. Okay.
Yeah. So, but
wow, so in this year alone, we're going to lose a massive amount of haenyeo.
Just in Jeju-shi. This isn't Seogwipo, right?
A lot just for the one. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, in January, the Jeju City released numbers for just the north side of the island that there was 2,141 haenyeo last year. In 2020, 2,141 haenyeo. And
2,441 haenyeo as of the last count.
2,141
as of the last count last year.
Right.
Okay.
And that's a drop. That was a drop of 4.5% from the 2019, the year before. 100 haenyeo disappeared, retired, death, relocation. Yeah. Those are the reasons why they're given for the drop. And then
now, yet another. And these are only the ones that we are saying numbers that are getting retirement funds. We don't know other haenyeo that haven't applied for this fund, or you know what I mean?
Or like, so retire.
This is literally just a government, number.
According to the government, there's 333 haenyeo who are in their 80s as of for last year. So those 333 are people who could be eligible for this retirement allowance. And the eldest haenyeo is 91 years old, active working haenyeo, 91.
Hey, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
How many haenyeo are in their 40s? My
30s,
guess. Okay. 30s. How many
in the 30s?
30s?
Well, if I remember correct, because I remember meeting the youngest haenyeo. Like 2, right? 2?
4.
Is that crazy?
4 on Jeju. In Jeju.
4 on Jeju. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, and like, so I want to keep looking into like just seeing the everyday articles that come up, because it gives it more context and explains, it demystifies it too. It continues to demystify the profession, right?
Which is something that I think we strive to do here on the podcast. Is again, we're not. These are real people. These are a real job. I mean, we say it quite a bit. This is not some magical thing. This is somebody just doing their job.
But then I did my interview, right? And I spoke to a geneticist about this. Yeah. And
geneticist about the hypothermia.
The geneticist is looking into. She's part of that. She's part of that. The Office of Naval Research, and she's also working to see if there's a genetic difference among haenyeo. Like if there's a genetic single among them that makes them different. Like I mentioned before,
so cool.
She had done research before on the Bajau and found out they have a spleen that's 50% larger than regular population. Right. So one of the things that we may find out is or not
is there
if there's a similar spleen issue or difference, or maybe something with the skin, or find other things about them that may have.
I like our word. Other things. There's other things.
Yeah.
Well, so if our listeners aren't exactly following us, we had a really cool episode 12. Go back and listen to it, because Darryl and I had a really cool conversation based on his interview with a scientist. Yeah. So definitely go listen, and then you'll know more about this. It's really fascinating, really. And it's amazing to me. I've actually been thinking about this a lot. It's amazing to me that these studies are just now being done. Don't you think that's like not okay? Let me just rephrase that. The U.S. military wants to know more about hypothermia, so there's a mission behind that. But if scientists in general, haenyeo are it's really interesting what their bodies can do and things like that. So for me, it seems these studies are coming in hot and coming in late.
That's interesting, because there were quite a few studies done before on different things, right? Like on their cold adaptation, on like their ability to withstand cold. There were these done before.
Okay. This is good to know. But to this extent, like
not based on the genetics. This is the first one that's
genetics.
But that could also do with like with the ability of where science has gotten as of has also been able to, that kind of stuff too.
That's true.
Right?
Okay.
And the reason why that the military is more interested in the haenyeo now, and this is something that the researcher told me. Her name is Melissa Iardo, and she told me that the haenyeo, of all the divers that she has studied, the haenyeo dive in the coldest water.
And has she studied a lot of haenyeo?
A lot of different divers?
A lot of divers. Sorry.
Well, I assume so. Divers is kind of her thing. No, I don't think she went to Russia.
Okay.
But of those, but it is of the coldest water that because it goes down to like 11 degrees, right? Like it goes cold in the winter.
Yeah.
And so I completely didn't even think about that. I just assumed like haenyeo, right? But where else do they dive that's really cold? Do they dive in the winter in Russia?
In other places, right? Well,
right?
I mean,
Like, do they dive
I don't know.
while pregnant? like these are things that may affect one's genetics over time.
Wow. Is she based here in Jeju?
Utah?
She's based in Utah?
Well, no, that's where she is, where I spoke to her from. But like she's a reseacher, right? She's been here.
She's all over.
Yeah, she's been here to do some of this stuff, to do some of her like experiments and stuff a while ago. Hopefully, her paper will come out hopefully by the end of the year is what she told me. Look, and I asked her like, so I get the hypothermia, but why is the military interested in like genetics of the haenyeo? And she said to me, if we understand the limits of the human body, then we can understand how we do the things that we can do.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? Which is
absolutely.
And the reason why some of these studies are happening now and why the military is interested is because of global warming. The Arctic is melting and it's becoming like a new theater of war with Russia's building up there. China's trying to get up there. America's right. Like, so these are like, it's the new trade routes.
Yeah.
And there's like 30% of the
claiming the land. Hey.
Yeah. 30% of the world's untapped gas resources are in the Arctic.
Well, so okay. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's a really cool update. I've actually, but I haven't seen anyone because we're on like level 4 here in Jeju, but I've like just in passing, I've been like, so did you listen to episode 12? Because it was really because we talked about with the scientist, the interview you had, and then we had like Brian Miller, who like, is a photographer and stuff like that. So it was just one of those episodes that when we finished it, I was just like, damn, that was good. Yeah. Really, really good. So I hope this one is like such a good follow-up as well,
Yeah, I'm going to post the article on whenever it comes out. Hopefully it'll come out soon. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to put it together, a lot of work. I called the museum. I had to get stuff from the haenyeo museum too. So, and I'll keep doing this. Okay. I'll keep looking into the haenyeo. Oh, the other thing.
You're going to be an expert sooner rather than later. Yeah. There's another thing?
Next month, the haenyeo festival is being held.
Stop it. I've never been.
Yeah, at the haenyeo museum, from September 17th to 19th, the 14th annual Jeju haenyeo festival is being held.
I'm there.
Which is pretty cool. I don't understand a thing they're doing. One of the events is a children's haenyeo water buffalo challenge. No idea.
No idea. No. When I do work with the Jeju government for the various festivals that they do, and I'll do a lot of like translation work and or clarification, if you will, of the translation work. Yeah. But some of the things that get sent to me, I'm like, why don't you just tell me exactly what's going to happen when someone walks up to the table and you have to they run through it. I'm like, oh, I see. Yeah. Well, are you going to take Aurora?
Maybe. I mean, I go to a lot of stuff. Well, this is better than going to like some of the tourist traps I go to.
Yeah, that you've been. Yeah, we're not going to even. Yeah, that'll be maybe if we go, we can maybe talk about that on the podcast. Yeah, sure. Let's put it on the list.
It's online and offline, but I would like to go if you've never been to the museum. It's a cool place.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it on the calendar.
Sure. Now let's go talk to somebody who knows actually more about haenyeo than both of us combined. Joey, who is a longtime former resident
and soon to be on his way back, maybe one day.
Maybe. Yeah. Hopefully it'd be good to see him in person.
Joey Rositano.
Let's go to that now. Ladies and gentlemen, now with us, all the way from the sunny shores of Greece, is Joey Rositano, an independent researcher and a former longtime resident of Jeju Island who has produced Jeju Island haenyeo, a user's manual, which is a book that's available now, I believe, right? Is that correct, Joey? People can still get that?
Yeah, that's right.
And he's also got a photography book out called Spirits that also accompanies a documentary by the same name, which is about Jamin. What's wrong with me? Who's Jamin?
Yeah, we're struggling with this intro.
Rhymes with shamanism.
Shaman and Jamin. Excellent. So it's about the book and the documentary about Jeju shamanism, which Joey's an expert on.
Yeah. And so thank you for being with us. You're in Greece. I'm in Jeju and Sagipo. Alexis is in Jeju-shi, not to divulge your secret location. But again, thank you for being with us. How are you?
Yeah,
How
thanks,
is
Joey.
Greece?
I'm good. I'm in this beautiful city called Ioannina, and that's a lot of vowels to start out a name with. The locals call it Yanina, and it's a beautiful mountain city in northern Greece. There's a big lake in the middle of the city, quite a large lake, and there's mountains surrounding the city on all sides.
That sounds.
And I'm doing, yeah,
that sounds nice.
It's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
So what are you doing there? Except for it's not. It's hot.
It's very hot. Yeah, it's a bit off the beaten track, and I take it that it's actually not supposed to be hot here, but it's a weird summer. There's all these fires in Greece, and global warming or whatever is the cause. It's been steaming. Yeah.
Right. So
Joey, why'd you pick that town in Greece? Was it purposeful?
By, I am following a team of archaeologists for my new book. And it's near the archaeological sites that these people work on. So that's why I chose here. Yeah.
Oh, very
You're always
cool.
a cool guy. You're always cool.
How long have you been there for then?
It's been 5 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, something like that.
Okay, very cool. And how long do you plan to be there for?
I'm leaving tomorrow, actually.
Oh.
So this is kind of the end. Yeah.
Are you coming back to the island?
I've been on my way back to Jeju for about a year.
In this really weird route.
Yeah. So there's a chance that I'll fly back to Jeju in a few days. Or to Seoul to do the quarantine. Yeah. There's a chance that I will be in the UK, and there's a chance that I might stay here. So it's really kind of up in the air.
Just see what happens.
Yeah.
COVID, man, it's messing with all of us, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So let's get into why we'd like to speak to you today, which is about Jeju shamanism, which is probably how we first kind of came into contact too many years ago. So I don't think a lot of our listeners, or maybe even a lot of people on Jeju, know that Jeju has its own religion, its own shamanism. Can you explain a little bit to start off with, what is it? What is Jeju shamanism?
Right, yeah. So I always think, like, if there was someone who was like a Hindu and they came to Jeju Island, they would be able to understand shamanism within 15 minutes of being there. If you had to describe the religion to them. If someone was Catholic, it might take a year. And if someone is Protestant, it might take a couple years or longer, depending on how open-minded they are. But so why I say Hinduism, it's a polytheism that is common in all the Asian and European countries. So Jeju Island's religion, shamanism, is a type of shamanism that's specific only to Jeju, but it's related to all of the shamanic practices in the surrounding countries, like Shintoism in Japan, and the ancient religions of China, and down into India and across Eurasia.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And
okay.
So, and this is the religion of 18,000 gods, is it not?
That's right. That's something that has been said about Jeju shamanism, but that actually refers to the descendants of a particular god who has, been said through the generations to have had 18,000 descendants. But it's not meant to be a specific number of Jeju gods. It's another way of saying many.
Yeah.
You find these numbers in other religions too,
right.
88,000 jinns or something like that. What it really means is many gods.
Mm-hmm. So what is it? Can you go through some of the stories, explain to us how the practice works?
Yes. So with Jeju Island shamanism, there, I like to describe it as there's a pantheon with many gods, obviously. Okay. And there's kind of 3 levels of gods. There's the higher gods that could be kind of considered almost like Old Testament gods. They're kind of like the gods that were here before humans came into existence, or that have to do with, like, early human life. And they're kind of like the primordial gods, like the earth goddess or the sky god or the god of the sea, this type of thing. The goddess
the creation
of fate.
gods. Yeah.
The creation gods. Yeah. Then in the middle, there are shrine gods, and there are shrines all around Jeju Island that can be found in every village that all of us have seen, passing through the villages and on hikes or exploring. And in those shrines live the gods that protect each village on Jeju Island. And each village can have 2 or 3, even up to 5 or 7 shrines within each village, and different gods live in each shrine that have different functions. One god might be there to do the accounting for the people who die in the village and to report to the sky god and up the echelon of gods, to give notice that the spirit in that village needs to be taken away, by the Jeju Grim Reaper and other gods like that. Another shrine in a village might be to help in childbirth. Another shrine in the village might be aimed towards, skin disease or eye disease or other types of diseases like that.
Can you have as many shrines as you want in a village? Like, is it just up to the village what they're going to do? Or is there like a limit to these shrines?
Well, the shrines are, they're historical. Their founding corresponds to different miraculous events that happened in the village.
Okay.
So, for example, a place like Hamdok might have like 12 different shrines. It's always been a big village with many neighborhoods, and there's lots of legends about that place.
Okay.
And there's just the population needed more shrines to service all of the people who live there.
So you get as many shrines as miracles or something special has occurred in that village.
Yeah, there could be, but it would have to pass kind of the litmus test to to pass into the shamanic lore. So a shaman would have to pay attention to the shrine and would have to recognize the god and add the god into the pantheon and start telling a myth about that god. But the idea of a new shrine coming into existence could be something that only happens once every 100 years or more than that. It's very rare. It's a very rare circumstance.
I was under the impression that these shrines sort of tell the story of the town, right? Like you would have one that would be in a haenyeo village, and that one of those shrines would be, or the god at that shrine would have to do with like protecting people at sea and that kind of stuff. Right. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. So all of the village's lore, including, so let's talk about the types of myths, but all of the myths and histories of the village that are oral histories, oral myths memorized by the townspeople and the shaman are contained within the shrine. They're not physically there, but in a way they're physically there, because when people visit the shrine, they think about those histories, and the shamans, when they go there, they recite those histories and they recite the myths, and people in the village are exposed to their mythology, which is like their village identity, in these ceremonies that take place at the shrines. Which some of the things that they're saying are myth and other things are historical facts, and sometimes there's gray areas between, but usually not. Usually what is myth and what pertains to religion that's inside of the shamanic chants is designated as myth, and the other part is designated as village history. So these are the center of the villages, and they contain the village identity within there, the village founding, the village history, and they usually pertain to the ancestry of the village as well.
Everything, just your ability to hold all that knowledge in is fascinating. But you know what? While you're talking about that, I was thinking about how you have such like this storage in your head, but then it reminded me of a story you told me, or you just told me this a long time ago, about how the one shaman for the village has to start training so young, because all what you were just talking about, that's all done by memory. If I remember that correct, is that right, Joey? That's crazy.
It's almost ununderstandable. Because each shaman has to memorize about 30 hours of myths.
Wow.
And these aren't just the myths of their island. It's one religion, so this is, it's not just the myths of their village. It's also the myths of the whole island.
Okay.
So it's about 30 hours of material, but then there's the extra material that I'm specifically interested in. And that's the type of material that was added later, that came from people's personal experiences in the village. And those are also like miracles that happened at the shrine, or things to do with the massacres, things to do with the war, other things that are attached to the shrine that aren't necessarily inside of the myths. Okay. The shamans know all of that as well. So it's
unbelievable.
And it's all oral. It's an oral tradition, right? Like these things
are an oral tradition.
Crazy. Yeah. So tell me if I'm wrong about this. It's been a while since I read this or I looked it up. To become one of these shaman, it's that you have to find like a tool or something in the forest, in the field, and if you find this tool, then like, oh, you're destined to be a shaman. Now you got to become a shaman. I'm trying to remember what the tool was or what it. Am I correct in that?
I thought it was handed down.
That's an interesting story, because something like that did happen to Grandma O in Sewa village, who passed away a couple years ago. She was Jeju's oldest shaman, and she was not from a shamanic lineage. Mm-hmm. She did indeed walk into a field, and she met, I don't know that she found a tool, but she met the former shaman of the village in the field, and he told her, "You're the one." And she started training.
Wow.
At 35 years old, which is really, really old to do such a thing.
Be careful when you go for walks in Jeju.
Yes. Wait. I have a question. Did she literally meet a human, or she met the ghost of the...
No, she met a human.
I just wanted to clear that up. Okay.
The head shaman in the village didn't have, because of the massacres and the war and displacement and all that, they didn't have a protege to come up. So
he was on the hunt. He was looking.
He was on the hunt. Yeah, but she did it, and it's a wild thing to do at such an advanced age.
Right.
That's crazy.
And did she later in her years? Because you are, and if anyone reads your books, they'll come to know. But you actually became really good friends with a lot of the shamans around the village. Did she ever complain about this gift she was given?
No, because Grandma O, this lady, she was her personality. She used to be the prettiest girl in the village when she was younger.
Okay.
And she's very popular, and everybody there, the haenyeo, everybody loved her. In fact, they wouldn't let her retire. She was 94 and still doing shamanic ceremonies. And she really gloated. She gloated about the attention. And every time I went to her house, she showed it off to the whole village. He's come here to interview me. He's come, And in her case. Now, other shamans, yes, they feel cursed. Some shamans don't like the fact that they have to recite
3-hour-long
myths. It's a burden.
Yes. It's a thing. Yeah. Okay. That is funny. See, and this is why, Joey, this is just going to be like the first of our interviews with you, because I swear the next time we interview, I just want to like hear these stories, like 3 crazy stories. But
sure.
I just imagine walking down the like I'm taking, going to work or, picking strawberries. You're the one. Yeah, taking the trash out. You're there. You're the one. What do you mean I'm the one?
Well, all right. It's intense. And you're also obligated for all the ceremonies, like to be a shaman, all the ceremonies, but you're also, I don't know, Joey, if I'm going to use the right word, the healer of the village, or you're in charge of praying for the healing. So you're called for everything.
Shamanism is all about healing. The shaman, they're really shamanic priests. They're the same as a village priest in Europe. They have to preside over funerals, over birth blessings,
moving into new homes,
different events in the village. I mean, one thing that they do that they kind of split the responsibilities with the Buddhist monks in the villages is kind of psychological counseling and psychological rituals that they do with people who are afflicted either emotionally or physically in the villages. And this isn't like someone breaks their leg and they go to a shaman. It's not like that. I mean, they're fully incorporated into modern medicine. Jeju shamans, traditional Jeju shamans. I don't know about the fortune tellers in the rest of Korea, but they have a responsibility, especially for the psychological and emotional well-being of the people who visit them for rituals. So it's very much the tone of like of a priest in Ireland or something, like a village priest.
Yeah, it's there for everything. There's a little
bit more mystery around it with like possession and ghosts and stuff. But then again, there is in Catholicism too, and in places like Wales or Ireland, or
Saints,
it's very similar in many ways in tone to that.
Joey, you mentioned Darryl. Joey, you mentioned fortune tellers, but I always assumed, are you talking about like someone I could go to get my numbers right? I always assumed they were the shaman.
Yeah, Jeju has its own system of fortune telling, which is really interesting, and we could talk about that for an hour. It's separate from like the corner shop with the flags on the pole and everything.
Okay.
Now those type of shamans, a lot of them are doing probably with Korea's lack of like counseling services. They're probably doing a needed, type of. They're doing something that plays a role in the society for sure.
It's a fascinating point.
There's a lot of room for corruption there. Yeah.
Right.
That's a fascinating point. They talk about the role they actually play, not just as priests, but also as like psychological support, especially for a place like Jeju that has experienced so much hardship. Now, I'm curious, do you know how many practitioners there are?
Of Jeju shamanism.
Yeah,
I believe there are around 60 left. I think 60 individuals.
60 believers or 60 like people who are
60 shamans.
60 shamans. But how many how many believers are there? How many people?
Good question. It's hard to say, Darryl, because there's overlap with Buddhism and Jeju Buddhism and Jeju shamanism is mixed together. So, and then the Catholics on Jeju, do they practice shamanism? Often they do,
Yes, they definitely,
Yeah. So it's hard to say, but I guess most of the rural people, so whatever the rural population is of Jeju, plus some of the people who have been transplanted into the cities still visit their home villages.
To do that,
so it's hard to say. I imagine it would be approximately the number of elderly people on the island.
Right, because that was a leading question to get to the next one, which is that the religion is like so much on the island dying. Is it not?
Yeah, it is. So it's changing as well. It's not only dying, it's changing. For example, when I was doing research, sometimes I met families who had young children who came to the countryside to have a ritual done by their parents' shaman, by their parents' village's shaman. And that shaman would do, a day-long ritual dedicated to Myeongjin grandmother, which is like the kind of highest grandmother goddess figure in Jeju, and she heals children and is responsible for childbirth. And the people from the city would respond emotionally to the ritual, which is very intense, a lot of dancing, a lot of like intense things happening as far as like the shamans pushing them to open up emotionally, and expressively. But the people who came in from the city, they wouldn't really know what was happening in the ritual. They wouldn't really know, which gods were being called or what the process was. So you've got a situation where some people from the younger generations participate, but they don't really know what's fully going on.
What's going on? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. But that's true, and not just of Jeju's religion. I'm assuming even
any religion.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. There are new shamans. There are 4 or 5 young shamans that are apprenticing. So,
very cool.
I was just about to ask that. Is that something that's still happening then?
Oh
but
yeah,
not on a level that it should be.
And you'd be very entertained that a lot of these shamans will listen to recordings on MP3s or on their phone. I mean, they're learning in a different way, you know, how to memorize the myths and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not surprised by that, to be honest with you. A lot of people have these weird ideas or these Western ideas that just because they're shaman or monks or whatever, or Amish or what have you, they have to be like technologically deprived or something like that. But no, like they have the latest iPhones too, just like anybody else.
Yeah, they all do. Everybody does, you know. Yeah.
Now, do you have any stories about when you were researching about trying to find some of these shrines that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I you know, when I first started you know, going to the shrine rituals, I would just kind of show up on my own, you know, at like 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. before the sun came up. And yeah, it was really exhilarating and really mysterious, a little bit like frightening. You know, I didn't know what was going to happen. And then, you know, people there kind of embraced me, and I started visiting everybody in the village and kind of learning everybody's stories. And it became more normalized for me over time. You know, like I feel like I can see the religion from the inside more. But in the early days, I mean, yeah, it was pretty wild. I remember I went to this one place. There are two Grandma O shamans, but the other Grandma O shaman from Hado Village, I went to visit her shrine. That was the first ceremony I went to. And it was early in the morning. And inside the shrine, it was so dark, you could barely see anything. There was just candlelight. And there were all these old ladies sitting around. And I realized every single person in there was about blind. And they couldn't see that I was a foreign person, you know. So the ceremony had started. And finally, a younger woman comes in, like probably mid-40s or something. And she said, "Hey, where are you from? What are you doing here?" And instead of saying, "I want to take a photograph of the altar," I said, "I want to take a photograph of the eggs," right? Keran instead of keran, right? Yeah. And the whole place went crazy, and they laughed. And then Grandma O, the shaman who I knew, she said, "Oh, that American has come." Okay, you know. But I went to visit her a lot. I mean, so it started out very mystical, and then it became more normal for me over time.
Well, when you're talking about like how it just became part of your life, I actually remember being with you like the nights before you would go out, and you would be like avoiding pork, or you would not be drinking, or I can't say exactly, but there would be times because you were going to go visit the place, the special place, so you wouldn't do certain things the night before to make sure you were pure and clean, right?
That's right. Don't mess around with taboos. Don't mess around with taboos. Like it whether you believe in kind of spiritual things or not, it just seems like a bad idea. Yeah. So I would abstain from whatever taboos that the villages had. Yeah. It really became a part of your life. It was just a very normal. It was just like, oh, I'm tomorrow, and no one, Joey would be like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to this ceremony. Everyone would be like, cool, because we all knew. We were like, all right, cool. That's what he does. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I visit the shrines and things like that, I have a feeling, that comes. I have like a spiritual feeling just because I've heard all the songs and talk with the people so much that I get a bit of that, I get a bit of like the emotion attached to it.
Yeah. So now as we get to the closer to the end of the interview, I'm curious about why shamanism. Like, why did you decide? What was it about that you decided to throw yourself into it?
Yeah, I studied anthropology in school, which probably has something to do with my ability to get in there and kind of do the work. But as far as like getting turned on to shamanism, it was really random. I'll say the story quickly, but I was in Shicheng in City Hall, downtown Jeju City, and there was a bar that I would go to often. And in the bar, there were 3 or 4 people who had graduated film school in Seoul, but they had never made a film. And so we started talking, and I said, hey, you guys should make a film. You should make a film. And we decided to do a film about grandma stories, just interesting stories that old Jeju grandmas would tell.
I remember that.
Yeah, we started doing that film, and then during that filming process, I kind of transitioned to shamanism because I saw it firsthand, and it became interesting to me.
Okay.
So where can, if people want to learn more about shamanism, where can they go, Joey?
They can go to pagansweare.com, which is my blog. It's mostly content about Jeju Island. My photo book is available on Gumroad. It's called Spirits, the Story of Jeju Island Shamanic Shrines. And they could search by my name as well and find it that way. And
we'll
then they
links,
can, they can watch the film as well. So if you want to get really into it, go to the blog.
I would highly suggest people go to the blog. It's high quality, lots of good stuff there, lots of great photos too. And we'll link to it like Alexis said. And if people want to get a hold of you, where can they get a hold of you? If they want to
they can message me through the blog. I think the email is there. Perfect. So pagansweare.com, and then just
I'm just curious, like if people wanted to stalk you, where could they go, Joey?
I have Instagram too. It's on Instagram. There's Pagansweare. If you want to stalk me, you can come to Ioannina, Greece. So.
All right. I'm there.
Thank you, Joey. It's been great talking to you. This has been really, really interesting.
So nice to see your face.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys too.
Yeah.
It's been too long.
Yeah, we'll have you on again. And
start picking your stories. Start picking the crazy stories, please.
Yeah. Put them in a file for later.
Yeah. I'll put out a few, and
good.
Yeah, there's plenty of this.
I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah.
Awesome. Safe flight tomorrow, wherever you end up going.
Or not.
Or not.
Right. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
All right. Perfect. Thanks again. It was good talking to you.
Thanks, Joey. Ciao.
Thanks, guys.
And that's been another episode of Me, You, and Jeju. But before we go, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Joey one more time for coming on. Thank you. That was great. It's always good to talk to you. On a personal note, it's been a while since Joey and I have been able to get together and just jaw at each other, go back and forth about the ins and outs of Jeju. But his knowledge on Jeju shaman in particular is quite in depth, and there's few people that I've met who can rival him in that particular area. Now, music is by Jason Lisko. Art, Sarah Hodgkiss. My co-host is Alexis Joy, and I'm Darryl Coote. And until next time, Meng Shim Hapsa.